Okay.
When does Ninth Jedi start coming out?
I don't know. Let's see. Ninth Jedi release date.
Did we miss episode 1?
No, August 5th.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
And
August
then,
5th.
yeah.
Okay.
Zero Company is soon after that, too. August 27th. And then Galactic Racer is December, is it? October 6th. Gonna be a Star Warsy time.
I know.
But anyway.
I've even started uploading again.
Dad would never lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
My chair didn't change anything. Kind of struggled around. Oh well. You can all come down here with me. Okay. I'm ready.
Yep.
Not ready. I'm scared. Okay. Hello there, and welcome back to TapCaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast in existence. No exceptions. I am one of your hosts, Corey, joined as always, this time on camera. For our audio listeners, you're missing out on seeing Justin back on camera. It's Justin. I spoiled it.
It was
It's
only one.
Mr.
It was
Eckhartsladder.
one episode. It was
Yeah,
one
but
episode.
it was our only episode in like a month and a half. The people were jonesing for taps to calf or calves to tap. I don't know. One of the two.
Cats. But I mean, I will say we got through this trilogy pretty quickly. A week between books is actually less than a week because it was Saturday we recorded, right?
Yes, this gap between this and the prior episode. Yes, very short. Shorter than average. Oh,
I accidentally started the game.
Now you've
game.
decided to start playing a Discord activity.
It looked really interesting. I thought I could play by myself before fighting you.
The man just wants to play games. Go back to Donkey Kong Country on your Nintendo or whatever it was last year or 5 years ago. However time works. But yeah, so tonight's episode, we are covering the final book of the Coruscant Nights trilogy, Patterns of Force, named after a Star Trek episode about Nazis. I'm not 100% sure what the connection was meant to be here, but it's hard to say that this is the end of this trilogy because, for one thing, it feels like very little wraps up. And for two, there is still The Last Jedi by Michael Reeves to do, which has a lot of the same characters.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, I don't think I5 is in it, but I think Jack Spavan is kind of the main character in that one.
Yeah, it shows up as a thing he appears in, but I don't know that he like actually does much. So
I've never read it.
we'll
I've
see.
never read that one.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
And think of how great
Jack Spavan and I5 are in it. Okay, never mind.
The thing is, no one's Wikipedia articles really include any information from it, other than a couple like life and death matters. But like, if you go to the actual character pages, nothing is really listed out from it. So this is a book that no one has ever read. And when we do the TapCaf Transmissions covers The Last Jedi episode, then we'll just get higher views. It'll be like the whole Diversity Alliance thing again.
Yeah. We'll be like the only, and we'll be the only source as well of secondary knowledge about the book.
We could just say whatever we want for the whole episode.
Oh, that's an old coffee I almost drank. I gotta throw that cup away.
Yeah, so overall thoughts on Coruscant Nights, Patterns of Force, before we...
I'm guessing... See, I'm going to guess that I liked it more than you did. So I'm going to guess that I'm going to guess you liked this one more than the last one, but not that much more. I'm kind of conflicted because I don't love the plot of this book, but I like the characters, and I do like the 3-book arc as a whole, even though it gets quite goofy at times. It's a little silly. It's kind of like, X-Wing does this as well, although to a far lesser degree, where like there are a couple of the early X-Wing books that I don't love. Like I'd give, a B or, probably not a C, but a B, but I'd still rank the entire trilogy or the entire first 4 books rather as an A. And it's kind of how I feel about this one. Like, there was a lot I didn't love, but the characters are pretty strong. The vibes are good. I think the biggest sin is that like they really underuse Coruscant as a planet
Yeah.
in the latter two books.
Yeah, I don't think I agree on underusing Coruscant. I think we get enough out of Coruscant, but I think I agree with you on a lot of it. Like I think the overall arc of the trilogy, well, I feel like this is a kind of unsatisfying ending.
Yeah.
I do think I like a lot of the character arcs over that period. Uh I think there are some things in this book which make parts of the last book better, but I also think there are parts of it that just it some of it still just feels a little too jarring. So like Deja, the scene between Loranth and Jax at the end we called out as being super weird. And one of the
Yeah.
plots we find out here is that Deja has been managing to influence Jax. Uh, but I feel like Deja as a character is just really cringy.
Hmm.
Like there's there's having a species be the sex species, but then there's like I don't know, Deja just doesn't really get great motivations for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
She
you kind
really
of find
doesn't.
out stuff that you think matters about her just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like Jax is like anyone's read on her just ends up being kind of weird. Uh, but I do have an apology to make because I incorrectly corrected you last episode
Yeah, you did.
on Aura Singh's lightsaber, which apparently
Yep.
was red. So
Yep.
I'm sorry. I thought
I
I
was
read
thinking
a
about that
green
today. I
one,
was thinking
but
about that today. Yeah, it's okay.
I wanted to make sure I got that off, like at the top. Make sure we cleared the air, because I know you're feeling hurt by it. Like that's why
Yeah, it
you
was
did what
really
you did
bothering me.
in the group chat 10 minutes
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah, it was really bothering me.
where you said, "I'll be a minute, Zach," and I when you meant me. So it was I felt like that was a kind of unfair way to lash out at me, but
I mean, I think that's more the fact that I'm bossing Zach around all day in our private group
that's
chat.
okay.
We've got a group chat with me, him, and Charlie is technically in it, but I mean, you know how Charlie is. And it's a lot of, hey Zach, can you do this? Hey Zach, can you do a thumbnail? Hey Zach, can you do X, Y, Z? And hey Zach, I'm away from my computer. Can you do a day's worth of work that I'm actually just too lazy to do? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just there's the group chat with all of us, and then it just kind of goes down to you and Zach having private DMs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm in
understand.
too many group chats with that guy.
But yeah,
Way
so
too.
the overall plot of this book is kind of hard to describe because uh we have the A plot being Jax Pavin and his friends. The B plot in this book, I think, is a little bit more connected because it's
Mhm.
dealing with an inquisitor named Tesla who is trying to hunt for Jax and uh Kaj, who is this new force sensitive they discover who has like insane abilities and that is never heard from again in
He's
Star Wars.
basically Star Killer.
Yeah, it's he does some crazy shit that no one else is capable of, and kind of just gets pushed to the side, and then you never hear from him again. But the one of the things that's kind of difficult with this plot is that we have a character at the start who comes back, a Sakian from Maul Shadowhunter,
Yep.
the guy who kind of sells out
From the
Lauren
very
Pavin
end.
and doesn't bring I-5 to the Jedi Temple, causes all the issues, and then he decides he's joining Whiplash at the start of this one, and he has a mission for I-5, which is going to be assassinating Palpatine. If you are reading this book, you know Palpatine is not going to die at the end of this book, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, I am fine with this not being a thing, but the whole course of the book is the characters kind of flipping back and forth on whether or not they should try. And I don't think any of their debates are all that interesting. Like, I don't think the things
No.
that make Jax change his mind back and forth are all that interesting. It's kind of just eventually Jax stumbling into a few realizations that he's being overly influenced by Deja, that he has to teach these new generation of Jedi, even though they get separated at the end. And you kind of end up with 25 pages left in the book where they're like, okay, let's try to assassinate Palpatine. Actually, never mind. Uh, Loranth and Kaj have been kidnapped, and we have to just go fight Vader to get them back. And like
This was
nothing that's
yeah.
really happened in the plot up till then is like that. you don't end up resolving the things you think you're going to resolve, and it just kind of feels like a little bit messy at
This
the
is a
end.
problem the second book had too. It was a little different because it was about tracking down the killer of Vespalet, where a lot of the book is literally going back and forth, having this. In this case, it's the debate on whether to assassinate Palpatine or not, or to attempt to assassinate him. And I got to admit, like I kind of started to like not doze, but like it was just automatic. We're like, oh, they're in a different room now, and Jax has a different opinion, and they're like talking about all of these sort of intra-group alliances, like who's going to side with who on the ultimate decision. But like you said, it's not very compelling for the reader because Palpatine is not killed in 18 BBY. So yeah,
Well,
that was a bit of a mess.
ultimately, like, we know they're not going to succeed, but like maybe they try, maybe there's something that goes on and they fail. But
Yeah,
like one thing I did like about this book more than the prior one is that the other characters do get a lot more room. It's not just the Jax show. There's still a lot of stuff, and I think Jax is just a horribly boring character. Because and it because they all kind of decide early on, well, it's going to be Jax who makes this decision ultimately. And you get a lot of the characters' perspectives on like, oh, why did they want to go with this plan? Why not? They go back and forth in some of it. I think Den is really good in this book. Uh, but none of what they say actually influences Jax all that much, anyways. He kind of always knows where he's going to end up. Then he goes and talks to the leader of Whiplash, the Syrian named Timoon Chim Chimney. And Jax comes out of that with like, oh no, we can't. You can't kill Palpatine because that's not self defense. And it kind of just that discussion kind of feels like the whole the Luke joke in Battlefront, where
yeah,
he just slaughters 50 stormtroopers, and there's like it's a choice to be different.
yeah.
And well, like
Well,
Palpatine
would you
shouldn't
kill
get
the
more
stormtrooper with the
consideration.
name?
Yeah, like Palpatine is causing all of this. He may not be like immediately in your face threatening you, but he is the one going and getting everyone killed all the time. I don't think it's like a non self defense thing to assassinate him. I think you're probably in the clear there. But like none of that sticks either. Like he leaves the room, has this epiphany, and then immediately like actually our plan to assassinate Palpatine is off because we're gonna go we gotta go do the rescue mission anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of the issue with Jax as well is like you said, he kind of assumes this role of leader of the group and everyone naturally gravitates towards him, but I don't think he really earns that.
No.
Like I5, I guess it's like it comes down from his partnership with his father, but like Jax assumes the clear leadership of this group. And I don't know, there's like plenty of equally competent people, and he's just not quite as charismatic as the book would kind of
Yeah.
want him to be.
I don't like using the term Gary Stew, but
Yeah,
like if you so there's the cop that they're working with, Paul House, who turns out to be a Whiplash operative, and that's why he's so open to working with them. And he's figured out that Jax is a Jedi partially because we're told like, oh, the way everyone looks to you for decisions. And it's like, well, I5 feels that way because of Lorne. I think we can grant that one. If we go through the group here. Den doesn't really act that way. He trusts I5, so he's kind of going along with Jax because of that. Loranth fucking leaves the group because she doesn't trust Jax's impulses when it comes to Deja being around. Deja is manipulating all of them, so like maybe there's a past there. Rinnon hates them all and is not very subtle about it. Like who's giving these signals to Paul House that Jax is like such a natural leader? Because like if you look at the group from above, it's a fun little hodgepodge family. But the idea that like Jax emerges from that with all this authority, it just feels unearned in the moments that he is using it. Because if you look at what the individual characters are doing, they don't care.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a bad read of character to decide that they are that way.
yeah. No, I agree, especially where, like you said, it ends up kind of being nothing. And I don't know, like you would think any one person in the Whiplash, you know, like if you can, like the idea of do we kill Palpatine if we have the chance is just it's not really that compelling because like anybody who's like even a semi-militant member of that group should be willing to kill Palpatine even if they're going to die. Now it's one thing obviously it's different for Jax to say okay I5 can do it because he's his own person and he's like volunteering someone else but like they spend 3/4 of the book talking about the moral like and ethical dilemmas of doing it and then like literally 2 pages on okay so how are we going to do it and like the plan is like stupid as fuck. It comes down to like oh yeah he's going to be in the Senate, we'll shoot him, the robot will do it because like which like the whole thing is that I5 is he's gone past the point of being a robot so like the programming limits that prevent him from harming sentients no longer exist but like you can make a battle droid look like a 3PO unit very very easily.
Yeah.
Like there are other battle droids that look like 3PO units.
Like Forlom could fucking blast his ass if that's all it takes. Like what
exactly.
are we doing?
And there's like the argument that it's like okay well we learn that he starts to be able to touch the force or not touch the force but he has like a force essence like a living being which I actually like. I understand why some people wouldn't but I did like it. So the plan is okay he's going to go into basically his factory mode and his personality will be loaded into kind of like a small piece of him and then it'll be turned on at the last minute so Palpatine doesn't sense it but like that makes no sense because Palpatine is going to sense the person turning it on. I don't know. Like that part was dumb.
Yeah, and like the danger sense that Jedi and Force users get isn't just that you're sensing the intention of someone. Like
they even make that point in the book when they're talking about like sensing a droid. Yeah, like it's the Force that tells you. Like that's the whole point when he's fighting the remote because he's like, well, how can you sense the remote? It's not living. He's like, well, it's not living, but it's still within the current of the Force. So too would the robot.
Yeah. It's not a good plan, and it's not a believable plan.
It's a terrible plan.
None of them are taking this very seriously. There's a lot of audibles that are called like immediately upon saying they're going to do it. And the thing that gets me is like a lot of this comes in because it all feels a little rushed, but it's a very short book. It's not like there wasn't space to expand on some of this. In the prior ones, especially with the B plots being so kind of nothing burgers, it feels a little bit more egregious because you're like actively reading stuff where it's like, okay, well, this could be more about the background on the trilogy or the background on the murder. And it's not, but like this is a 250-page book. It's a very short book. You could have more exploration of this plan to kill Palpatine, and then like the problem I have with it isn't that you know that a plan isn't going to work to kill Palpatine. It's more interesting to see like, oh, how are these characters going to approach it? And the approach ends up being we're not really going to think about it. We're going to say some dumb shit, argue back and forth about stuff that has no real sticking power, and then just move on with our lives. Like, we're all going to pretend we're leaving at different points. Renan has his plan to leave the entire time. He's trying to find the Boda, which I did think was a fun subplot, which ends with him technically being able to feel the Force for like a second at the end of his life when he gets upset at Vader for having it. But no one ever gets even slightly suspicious of what Renan is doing either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a funny idea that like maybe there's like a whole other part of his personality that like we don't see where like he's just using that desire for the Force to like justify everything he's doing and that he's really a good guy. Like he's saying that but he wants to help. Obviously the book doesn't pan that out. We don't really get a good idea of who he is. Speaking of characters we do have in the book though, and we do see a lot of Darth Vader continues to be weird in this one.
Yeah.
I did like one line quite a bit, but he refers to I5 as Tin Man, which was very funny. Um, he's laughing all the time. He's quite strange. But one thing I did like is so we get a little bit of Jax knowing Vader when he was Anakin at the Jedi Temple, and he gives him what's the name of the material again?
Rhydonium.
Yeah, he gives him Rhodesia, no, and and at the end he says you can return it, which is kind of fun because it's kind of fun because it's Jack's kind of. I forget if it was this one or the last one that starts off with him having a vision. Oh no, it was this one. He's got a vision that Anakin's still alive. Or no, I think it was the last one, but this one he's got another vision. So I thought that was fun. It's kind of weird though, like reading all of the stuff between Jax and Anakin. I kind of assumed that maybe he'd appeared in a Clone Wars era book, but I don't think so. Other than like, I mean, Shadowhunters before the Clone Wars, but yeah. Another somewhat, I guess it's not really anachronistic, but another thing that's, the Darth. There's two like things in the Clone Wars that, depending on when the book is read, are treated. I mean, are just completely different, and it puts you into one or two camps, and they have to do with two of the big reveals of the Clone Wars TV show. Anakin having an apprentice, Ahsoka, and the other being the survival of Darth Maul. Because, like, this whole book, like, everyone in the Jedi Order probably would have known who Darth Maul is if you, like, go through the Clone Wars, like, in the Clone Wars era. Because he's, like, an active dude. He's being hunted by the Jedi. He's had a dozen run-ins with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in Legends, he's dead. Like he dies in the Phantom Menace and doesn't come back. So like when they're going through the history of Lauren being murdered by Maul, he's kind of a more mysterious figure, which is kind of interesting. He assumes he's a Sith, but he doesn't fully know. Whereas obviously, if that had come later on in the continuity, he would have kind of immediately identified him as Maul.
Yeah, and they put a lot of weight on the fact that what the Sakian Sal, I think his name is Sal,
Yeah,
Sal, the information he prevented I-5 from giving the Jedi kind of ruined everything. But like, I don't remember exactly what information he had beyond Maul. But like,
had
it's
to do
not
with the Trade Federation.
There's stuff with the Trade
Plan
Federation, but
to
it's still
blockade the. It was basically a plan to blockade Naboo.
But that still doesn't necessarily tell you it's Palpatine doing anything.
No,
because the Jedi knew there was shit going on behind the Trade Federation blockade. Maul was there. They know the Sith were involved. It's not a big jump, but they still wouldn't know Sidious's identity. So I don't think this actually changes all that much if they do get the information out. Like,
no.
I think they're being a little too hard on Tuden Sal. He deserves a lot of flack here, but I don't think the actual course of the galaxy would have changed. And part of this could just be me forgetting elements of Shadowhunter. But
No, I think you're pretty much right.
I think this is a book which wants to be set, or a trilogy which wants to be set over a longer period of time than it is.
Yeah.
Because the way they talk about the Clone Wars, they talk about it being like 2 decades since the Boda would have been taken. And it's like, no, it was a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah, a year. Jeez. Yeah.
And they have this whole College of the Inquisitors. They have the College of the Inquisitors with this like wizened master who like maybe that guy came from the Jedi at some point. But like Tesla was training under him at the college and then killed him. And this is like, we're a year into the fucking Empire here. We're not really, maybe 2 or 3. Like there's not that much time for some of this to happen. And then there's like the time we are given with the Boda. And it just, I really don't know what's going on because it makes it seem like they want this to be set that much later. But obviously that doesn't work with like Jax's age either. Like for the main characters, shorter before. For the other characters, the Empire has existed for like 20 years.
I just think like that's an issue throughout Like I think the 18 years or whatever it is has, or not 18, 18 plus 3 or 4. Like I think that's always been an issue. Like the Empire should have, like, it's an issue with the ages of the characters, how much Obi-Wan ages on Tatooine. You know, I think like even the behavior of Vader and his relatively young age in this book, really the Empire should have been like 30 years after. I think like they needed to add another 10 on, and I mean we would have got more room for stories as well. Um, but yeah, to me I think that would have been a little better. Like how old is Han Solo in the original trilogy?
33-ish.
Yeah, so like he was going to be, I know like fucking George Lucas, of course he did, was going to put him in Revenge of the Sith as
Yeah.
like a young orphan. I think like 6, if he say 6 to 33, to me even that extra like 5 years or whatever it is, or 7 years, like that to me kind of makes the timeline just make a bit more sense.
Yeah,
Especially where the Empire's treated like this kind of monolithic thing, which it's kind of weird because the Empire's treated like this monolithic thing which has been around for a long time, but also in A New Hope, it's going through this drastic change where they're just finally gotten like full power over the Senate and whatnot.
yeah, like I'm typically on the side that the Clone Wars should have been longer. Like keep
Yeah,
the Empire where it is, but have the Clone Wars be like 10 years. Because I'm
yeah,
fine with
that's fair.
the like institutional shift the Empire has and like having Palpatine. Like it's not like the Empire forms and that immediately shifts stuff. There's the stuff that goes before where they were going towards the centralization of power for Palpatine. Getting rid of the Jedi as a force that could actually oppose him was a big deal. And then the war ends and you have like the transition in name, but it still takes a long time to get to what we see in A New Hope, where the Senate is dissolved and all that.
Mhm.
But then that's immediately followed up by like Tarkin dying, which is a big political hit. But like, so I give a lot of there's a lot of room for like the post Endor stuff that came out earlier to have time scales that just make no goddamn sense with the prequels. But
Yeah,
for this book, like it's not even consistent within itself on like how long it wants to treat that as. Like it wants to have the Empire have been around for a long time, have all this stuff set up within the Empire. The Inquisitors are like running at full force with a college that's been set up for what feels like a decade or two at this point.
yeah, yeah.
And Vader being as established as he is. But at the same time, Jax is like 23 and this Kaj kid is like 17.
15, I think.
Okay, so then Jax is 20.
Yeah,
Uh and so this is it yeah, so a lot of that's weird and it's like, oh well, wouldn't the Jedi have gotten you before if this was like a kid that's this powerful? Because obviously they
yeah.
have missed stuff. A lot of the stuff the underground maglev, a lot of the characters that the underground maglev is rescuing are coming
Underground.
from like they're force sensitives, but they're not force sensitives who are from the Jedi, like the Tigrita that comes out and goes to live on fucking Ordo Plutonia because they like the music from the from the Ortolans is
Real.
not a former Jedi. But you have like the silent on Shili that are another force sect that you can just go safely live with. It all feels a little weird. Uh I forget where I was going. It just turned into a rant and I had a point when I started, but
I see. I was trying to think of how Star Wars would make Harriet Tubman into a Star Wars name.
oh yeah, so the underground maglev. I think Michael
Oh,
Reeves may have legitimately believed the Underground Railroad involved an
yeah.
actual
I
train.
was wondering that too. I was wondering that too.
Like they're talking about like the stations in the tunnel, and it's like, wait a minute. Yes, there are like hideouts they had that were literally underground, but
Oh, I remember being in elementary school learning about the Underground Railroad, and like the most vivid image of it being like an old diesel engine on tracks underground. And like when she shortly after explained that was not how it worked, it just like I lost all interest in history.
my my teacher never explained that it was a metaphor. Like none of the educational material we had around it like explicitly said that no, it was not a specific locomotive involved in this. So there was a lot of room for people to come to their own conclusions on that. And if you're like 7, the conclusion you're
Oh
going to
yeah, of
come
course.
to is that the fucking train
I want to see this fucking thing.
underground.
Yeah.
And I think that is
I think
the
that's beautiful.
impression that this gives with the underground maglev.
Yeah. Absolutely it does. So I think this would be an interesting video at some point, but we've got one of the last appearances of the old Inquisitors, because the Inquisitorius goes all the way back to I think the original Imperial source book
Yeah.
has the Inquisitorius, along with like Compnor and ISB and stuff, but they're quite different in this. They're I don't know, like they're more honestly like Vader's adepts than kind of how they're portrayed in new canon, like Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, like they have a kind of consistent uniform here. They
Yeah,
have like their college with the Inquisitorius. They have their headquarters. It does feel a lot more like New Inquisitors than it does the like Jarek
Jarek. Yeah,
original portrayal
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And like the big one in this is Probus Tesla, who, as far as I'm aware, isn't in anything else except for because he survives I think he survives this.
Does
So I think we'll see him die in a later book. But it's always fun for me when you get like dark side Force users with like funny names like Probus Tesla. So I enjoyed his character. He just gets like repeatedly maimed by Kaijin, who he Kamehamehas, like he's chasing him through the Coruscant underworld, and there's like a repulsor field, and he like grabs the energy from it and throws it at him, which like no one else can do. And Kaijin is completely untrained. He's only like found his sort of latent Force abilities recently, and he just like kicks this Inquisitor's ass. And then like on another occasion, he just like atomizes one. On another occasion, he has a temper tantrum when his sexy Zeltros leaves, which I thought was relatable.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just feels very Harry Potter about how all the Force stuff works in these books, and especially this one. And even weirder, some of it feels very Fantastic Beasts. Because did you watch the
No, I
Fantastic
didn't.
Beast movies? You're happier that way.
Yeah.
But on top of like the making strange things happen as a kid, which is how a lot of the wizards get identified, Kajin has like his emotional outburst, like keeping the Force power in and rage, which is like very similar to it's called an Obscurus in Fantastic Beasts, where it's also what like Dumbledore's sister ends up doing as like a keeps all her power and then explodes. And it's a very RPG way to treat the Force that ending up like Harry Potter magic. Only I don't think any characters in this actually yell any transphobic slurs.
I think them for
Probably.
sure.
Polhouse is
Yeah.
probably thinking a bunch.
Polo seemed fine.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
cool. What do you mean he was thinking? I don't think he was transphobic.
he got a lot of shit thrown at him by the group,
Yeah.
and
He's still
like
a
he
bro.
keeps trying to put stuff out. So yeah, like that's not a man who stops supporting universal healthcare because some edgy leftist teens on Twitter make fun of him.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely
good for
not.
him.
They basically call him Stinky for half the book.
Yeah, and I thought that was unfair.
Well, I was just reading. I mean, I think that is a pretty common. Like, there are a lot of like detective noir elements, in this series, and I was just reading The Exorcist. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was just reading the Exorcist books. And there's two of them. Just like there's two movies by the original author, and there's a character in the books, far more so than the movies, are very like detective based. Like, what's going on? Is it a demon? What is it? And there's a character in those called Kinderman, and he has much of the same shtick where he's very disheveled, and he kind of presents himself that way, so he's underestimated. But he's quite intelligent, and I'm guessing that is probably like a greater thing in detective noir books. I'm just not super familiar with them generally. But what else do we have? If we've got any questions in the chat before Corey gets back, I can take a couple. Oh, there he is right there. Good timing.
Yeah, you won't have to interact with them. It's fine.
Thank God. Oh yeah, we do have the Towson scales. That's right. So like a lot of this book, not as much as like we get the later in Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, where they talk about making themselves small and minimizing their Force presence. Yeah. We get quite a like the Inquisitors are pretty competent, where like even a single Force outburst they can kind of detect from like really far away. Which I got to admit, I don't love that. I think it's kind of, like I don't mind, being able to detect someone in close range and having to stamp down your emotions, but like I guess in this book it has the effect of making what should be a very large planet feel very, very small.
Yeah, and part of that is just like it all takes place within like one city block.
Yeah. But
They're
I
all just
will
hanging
say,
around.
like, it is surprising we went through a whole book based on Coruscant we didn't really run into any monsters or anything. So that's kind of impressive.
The monsters within ourselves.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's especially weird to me that like Vader's just hanging around this whole time. They're on court. Like he doesn't seem to have anything else going on.
Yeah, he's just vibing.
Like the whole trilogy, he's just on Coruscant messing around. So maybe he's coming and going. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
can barely decide. I just had a fifth of Boda. Dare me to drive?
If you're a Force sensitive, you can probably drive better.
Yeah. Well, so that's the there's two kind of things that they're trying to figure out what to do with. One is the Boda. The other is, which I can't really remember what it did. It's like the thing that Anakin gives Pavan, which like I don't even remember what it did. It absorbs energy, but I don't know if we fully find out kind of how Jedi would use that.
Well, it turns into this thing where like if Vader had Rhodesia plus the Boda and Darth Ramage's holocron, he'd be able to like put them together and make some sort of juice. Hold on.
An extra 6 income per turn.
Ramage, blah blah blah. Contained instructions written by Darth Ramage, a Sith scientist, which would have been useful addition to the combination, but not essential. Simply have to divine what the connection is between these two. The Boda will purify and exponentially increase my connection to the Force. Transformation that will be maintained and strengthened by the energy latent in the Pyronium. So if he does that while he's got Rhodesia, he will he'll stay in power for generations or something. I guess it makes the Boda transformation permanent.
Mm-hmm. I guess. Go Super Saiyan 3 finally.
He doesn't have the information. And basically, the reason this goes wrong is that none of this should have been a concern in the first place because the Boda had been in the fridge too long past its expiration date.
It was garbage.
And, like, literally nothing anyone did would have mattered.
Yeah. Well, he takes it and he starts basically tripping balls. And he kills his Darth Vader once again, killing random woman who wants to be near him, which is at this point classic. And then he basically huffs it all. It's funny because he puts it in his suit to check it, but he accidentally like takes a hit.
Yeah, I really don't understand.
Don't worry, I wouldn't be that. Oh fuck, I'm getting so high right now.
He touched the fentanyl.
He's one of those cops who touched Fent. Imogen, go to bed. 1 second.
Yeah, so the Vader is trying to just put it in part of his suit that does an analysis of it. It turns out like that gets it sent in, and like this is we are like 10 pages away from the book being done at this point, and everything kind of happens at once. So Renan gets upset, the Eloman that's been helping them with Imperial acquisitions the whole time. He gets upset because like his whole reason for being there was that he wanted the Boda. He wanted to find a way to become able to access the Force, and like no one ever really questions his motives because no one gives a shit. It's not even like he was being uh subtle about not liking anyone. He just openly didn't like anyone and no one liked him. But he just kind of hung around and was able to get to this point just through that. Which we like even at the end of the first book, we were kind of commenting on how strange that felt. But yeah, like him, the the big plot line that actually goes through this book, other than uh, whether or not they should assassinate Palpatine, is Renan wanting this Voda and trying to figure out who's got it, which he doesn't figure out. He just sees them give it to Vader. That's when that kind of plays out. And then finally, like Loranth had it the whole time, I guess is the upshot there. And then Jax like slowly realizing that Deja had been playing him, and that's why he had acted so strange in the med ward at the end of the prior book. But he kind of has this epiphany in the middle of the book, and then it kind of just stalls out for a while. Whereas, like, we kind of know what went on, and he kind of knows what went on, but no one really comments on it until later, until he has the courage to tell Loranth that he'd messed up, and he doesn't even really finish that sentence. So
Yeah.
there's some weaknesses there in my opinion.
Yeah. Anything else you kind of wanted to touch on in terms of plot for this book specifically, or the trilogy as a whole?
I liked the mention of the Monarchomechs. That was a fun thing, where they're cyborgs that overthrew some kings.
Mm-hmm.
Already commented on the You're a Wizard thing, Underground Railroad stuff.
Oh well, Jax is. It's hard to tell how much of this is, based on the pheromones he's constantly huffing. But like, we thought kind of at the end of book 2 that Jax kind of knew what was going on with what's her name, the Twi'lek. But in this book, he kind of doesn't realize that they had
Yeah.
a love connection. He acts completely stupid until at the end when they touch hands and finally get together.
Yeah, which like it kind of explains some of that last scene a bit more, but I feel like that scene went too far in Jax realizing how Loranth felt before deciding that she was just a real drag. Cause like I can see Jax like having the pheromones interfere with that before they have that connection, but not like after the fact having him decide like, oh, Loranth is just a killjoy and then moving on and like basically leaves to go have sex with her at the end of the prior book, and then that doesn't really seem like it went anywhere. So, well, the thing with Deja is that she was just trying to be. We don't really get an explanation of why. I guess she just finds the Force intoxicating. But we
Yeah.
have like all this talk about how she was so loyal to Vess, feels upset about being left out, and then just went to hook up with the Inquisitor at some point. Which is, I don't know. I really didn't like how Deja was handled in this book, and I feel like there could have been fewer instances of her being described as childlike and so erotic.
Yeah. No, definitely on that point. Yeah, it is weird where she ends up, you know, turning all the stakes, and she's got this hidden motivation that we haven't learned a second about, or like a bit about. We know that she's somewhat, I guess, intoxicated. Like she's got empathic abilities, so um, she she doesn't use the Force, but she can kind of sense things in a way. Even like there's like a mention of psychometry in this, and she's got like a very basic version of it where she feels kind of something going on. Um, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, but like you mentioned, she's got some intoxication to the Force, but we never really learn anything about that, and extra weird where the way she's brought into the story in the first place ends up being through, surprisingly, just total random chance. Like
Mhm.
that's the thing from last book. She's brought into the story not because it's just like a weird coincidence that her partner is killed the same time, literally like within days of Kal Moss blowing up. There ends up being no connection there, and then she ends up being the thing that turns everything around. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, and I think part of that is also like we have no real sense for what Jax's group is doing. We're like they're set up as these private detectives in the prior book, but they only ever seem to do this one case, and then they're just
Yeah.
doing nothing. They're not really working with Whiplash. They're just kind of hanging out and
Mhm.
like maybe helping get people onto the UML with but that's like again with Whiplash. So
Just vibing.
it's kind of whatever's most convenient for them to be doing at any point, I guess. Where a lot of this background stuff feels like it could have been set up a bit more, and like maybe some more hints that like someone was betraying them, which you think is going to be Renan, and it turns out it's actually Deja. Because we don't really. So there's a line where Vader says like, "It turns out we have someone in their camp after all," and that like we don't know why he says that. We don't know what that results in immediately until like even when Laranth and Kaj get caught, it's not really implied that that's because someone sold them out other than like I guess it's implied that Paul did it, but it feels like a bit more setup could have gone into that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of it doesn't become a thing until right at the end where it has any impact. So there's not really time to suspect anyone, and it makes Deja feel like just a kind of all over the dartboard. It's strange.
Agreed. The last thing I'll mention is I didn't really like what's his name being mind wiped by he also gets high as fuck off spice.
Yeah,
I didn't really care for that, but it ends up kind of going nowhere anyway. But yeah,
yeah. Kaj gets
he gets smoked
kidnapped,
out.
spiced up, and then shipped off to Chile.
Yeah, yep. All right. So, do you have a rating for this book, Mr. Corey?
I
Also,
am
you're gonna make your public declaration or no
my public
about the last book?
declaration. Oh, right. So last book I said was going to be a C. I lowered it to D because I was thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, I can't say that I really liked much of it. This one, I think I am going to go with C because I think like moment to moment there is some fun character stuff. I like that it's not like so much Jax all the time because he is, I still think, very boring and very Gary Stewie. Where like we just hear about how good he is at everything all the time, and then he doesn't really do much. Uh, but I still think there's some weakness to the overall plot and to how some of the characters are handled. So I think it's landing at C for me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a C for now. But even despite that, even though on average, I've had 2 C's and a B, I'm gonna give the whole trilogy a B. I know we don't record that, but I enjoyed my time with it and the characters, and I'm excited for when we eventually get to the Last Jedi. Not the Last Jedi, but the first. There probably was a Last Jedi before this, but the second to Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, the novel, not the novel of The Last Jedi, the
That's right.
movie,
Yes.
which we should probably do sooner than later, maybe. I don't know.
We got a lot of stuff coming up. Is the only thing
Yeah, that's
we've
true. We've got
got.
Ninth Jedi, we've got the Legacy book, which we were going to do in 2 weeks, I believe, on the 6th.
Yes.
Uh, then we'll have the game stuff coming. I mean, there's going to be another like book wise. We don't have anything planned other than Legacy. And
No.
when the shows are on, it's usually every other week, right? Like that we end up doing the show versus a book or something. So
Yep. All right.
I
So
don't think
we'll
we can.
do Star Wars Legacy. That will not next week, but the subsequent week. So that is what, the 6th of August, and then I'm not gonna make any huge plans before then because I do have a week off and I gotta kind of figure out what
Well,
exactly.
hold on. Because the 5th of August is when the show starts, right? Was it?
Oh yeah, that might be right.
So I feel like that is going to be talking
All right,
about the
so
show.
2 weeks we'll do. Yeah, okay. So let's say 2 weeks we'll do the show. The week after that we'll do the book, and then maybe we'll have something else next week, but I'm not sure.
So next week we'll assume no episode unless something comes.
Yeah, and then by September I'd say we'll be back to guaranteed weekly episodes.
Yeah, I would like to
Start Fate of the Jedi. Well, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of stuff. I was thinking like we never even read the original canon Thrawn novels, have we?
Well, that we were saying when Ahsoka or Heir to the Empire, like the next Thrawn project comes out,
Yeah,
we start going for that.
yeah.
But I would like to knock out maybe another trilogy by the end of the year, or a few of
Oh
the
yeah.
standalones. Maybe some, like, I don't know if we take some time away from this crew and Michael Reeves before going to Last Jedi, because we've spent a lot of time with this crew in the last little while.
Yeah. I would like to read Death Star sometime soon, but that can wait. I mean, I feel like because Death Star, I think, is Michael Reeves and Steve Perry. So
Yeah.
at some point, we've got to do Shadows of the Empire. We should do Death Star after that, maybe.
Okay.
That'd be
Well,
fun.
we'll come to a final conclusion. But next week, assume no episode. Week after that, Ninth Jedi. Week after that, Legacy.
Yep.
All right. So
I'm going to be listening to the Legacy audiobook as well for anyone who wants to join along. That's always the new Star Wars audiobooks are really great. So, yeah. And then I mean, I imagine we're going to be starting Fate of the Jedi sooner rather than later. And then we got so many canon books to tackle as well. I mean, we still have a lot of Legends books, but we've got so many canon books as well.
yeah, we should maybe do another Q&A episode soon, because we did have a lot of Q's to A in the last one.
Sure.
But I was kind of thinking like 2027 we try to do Fate of the Jedi, like get through Fate of the Jedi, Mercy Kill, and Crucible in 2027.
Should be no problem.
And then we'll have like the latter period of Legends all done.
And there'll be 30 new canon books by then and new shows. And yeah, so we're good.
Someday
Another
we'll have to do the older
30
Republic
years
stuff
of
too.
Tapcaf.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to be over on X2 in a few minutes with a classic Corey, Charlie, and Justin Knight of Beerio. And yeah, so thank you all for watching. Go to youtube.com/ECKSTOO if you want to join in on the fun later tonight. And hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.